What is up, people? It is your boy Madolce Queen, and I'm coming at you with this Friday's Yu-Gi-Oh video. And with this one, I'm doing a deck profile on this deck that I love to play because of how much it reminds me of one of my first decks, and just for the amount of tomfoolery I can pull with it. It is a Predaplant deck. Now, Predaplants are monsters who rely mostly on counters, placing on monsters and reducing those monsters' levels down to 1, which is really good for, well, messing up your opponent's plays, especially if they're a Synchro or an Xyz summoner, and you're able to put a counter on their monster during their turn. That way they can't go into the monster they're wanting. It also focuses here on the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon and the Greedy Venom Fusion Dragon, which are both really great cards, really useful, especially when it comes to their abilities and their basically their attack and defense are pretty well, with Greedy being at 3,300 and Starving being at 2,800. And with this deck, we also have a monster here. It's Predaplant Camila Sundu, who is one of your star players in this deck, mostly because, let's say your opponent has a Judgment Dragon. It's a level 8 monster, and you're able to put a Preda counter on that, making it level 1. But its original level is 8. And Greedy says that its fusion materials are a Preda monster and a Dark monster whose original level is 8 or higher. Original level. So that means that even if there's Preda counters on the field, it's not accounting for that. And Camila Sundu is his own poly, where he's able to fuse with a monster on your opponent's side of the field if they have a Preda counter on it. So if they have a JD, and it treats them as a Dark monster for the fusion, which makes him really OP, especially when it comes to something like that. Someone summons a JD, you put a counter on it, then you summon Camila Sundu and fuse with it into your Greedy. You get JD off the field, you get a 3,300 beater on the field, and Greedy's effect is where if he's sent to the graveyard, you can destroy all other monsters. So he's a good way to clear your opponent's field. I'm also going to be showing some replays of decks I've gone up with my Predaplants. Let's see, what is a good one? Predaplant versus Lightsworn. Let's start with this. And swap. Now, the way I build all my decks is I build very defensively. I am a very defensive player, so error occurred. I do not know what just happened. Let's try this one versus, oh goodness, magnets. Sure. Why isn't this working? Are all my replays just like trash now? I'm wanting this to work. So the fact that they're a very fusion-based oriented deck is where you're pretty much needed to rely on poly, but there's plenty of ways to recycle it and to go through it quite frequently, and I right now I don't know how to explain it. I'm completely forgetting how to explain it. But it's a good deck when it comes to trying to mess with your opponent and stopping them with certain things. The monster that was just there is a monster I really like, the Hydra, because Hydra is good for pretty much being a lava golem or a kaiju by tributing off a monster who has a Preda counter on it. So with that, and it can do it from your hand or your grave. So he comes in really helpful. Oh yeah, I forgot I did that. That is also like a great thing to do, where if you use a Camila Sundew or a Poly to fuse a greedy into a greedy, he comes in handy as a way to, I want to say, because he can ban it when he's destroyed, he can banish a level 8 or higher dark monster, or level 8 or higher something or other. As you can see, that came in clutch. I survived by 100, destroyed all of his monsters, and still summoned my monster. This was actually against a friend of mine, and it was great. This is why I love this deck. For the very reason of, usually you can pull out combos out of nowhere. You know? It's just great. Let's see. Preda versus something. What did I just set? My Wabaku? So like I was saying, I am a very defensive player. I put in things like Wabakus to help it to where I can usually stay alive longer. It can get you out of good situations. So that's why I've usually put in all my decks, because there's been too many countless times that a Wabaku has come and saved me. But the specifics of a Predaplant deck are mostly that you want to apply counters. You want your opponent's monsters to be lower level than you, because then you're able to do more things. Because they have monsters who, let's see, if it battles a monster who's lower level, you can special summon, you can fuse with them if they have a counter on them. The fly trap says that, the fly trap here says that it can, once per turn, it can place a counter, and if it battles a monster who's lower level than it, which is with a counter, all the counters that they place make them level 1. So it's great. It makes it lower level, and if he goes into battle with it, it will automatically be destroyed. I didn't know that this is how this was ending up. Huh. As you can see, he went from level 2 to 6. So if anyone who's under his level would battle him, they would automatically be destroyed, as shown. And then he keeps gaining the level. They kept getting rid of my Camila Sundew. And I really like my Camila Sundews, because it makes it sure you don't have to run so many polys in your deck, because he's treated as a poly, so you run 3 of him, so that you have 3 different ways of polying. And Chimera Flasia is good for it when going up against lower levels. It can banish it automatically, and or I don't know why I did that. That was so stupid of me. I used both my Wabaku. I'm an idiot. Apparently. So this is, I really like my Predaplant deck, and I just really wish that the rest of the support would come out. Versus Zodiacs. Oh yeah, this was like a special zoo. I never understood the zoo, but a lot of people really like to play it. And what else can Predaplants do? Yeah, they're good at. If I had gone first, I would have been able to. Yeah. I gotta admit, that was great. That was just an amazing play. I was able to place counters on all their monsters and slowly chip out the ones that were going to be the most problematic by fusing and by tributing, because who is this? Bonksy Org is able to tribute one of your opponent's monsters who has a Predator counter from your hand, but Hydra is able to do it from hand or grave, which is why I like Hydra a little bit more. But this one's also a level 6 tuner, which I don't know why I haven't put any synchros in, but I'd have to think about which ones I'd want to put in. Other than that, this is just really good for stuff like that. That is just great for the whole. Oh my goodness, I am completely blanking. It's good for going around. It finds loopholes to mess with your opponent. No. It finds so the deck finds loopholes to mess with your opponent and weaken them to a point where you usually can get the upper hand. And when you're able to fusion summon, you get an advantage by being able to do things like with Rafflesia. You can usually climb over your opponent's monster, or you're able to banish their lower levels so that they're able to do less. While the other monsters are there to just... They're mostly all good for support. I just saw versus rituals. Oh, specifically Cyber Angels. Oh, gosh. And that gosh darn error occurred. Well, I'm pretty sure... Let me try it again. So I'm going to try this again so that we can see how this played out. But the Predaplant deck I would highly recommend, especially if you're... Why? Why? I don't understand. Yeah. Well, I showed off some pretty good videos of their abilities and their skills. The actual Predaplant deck, this is my profile where I use, let's see, if I'm looking at this right, I actually have like 5 polys, because there's the 2 polys plus the 3 Camila Sundews and the Fusion Recovery, which can get me a poly back. This is my general deck profile. There's certain things I would put in, take out, you know, but this is the general thing. I really enjoy this deck because I'm one of those players who likes to just fool around and mess with my opponent, which this deck is a boss at. So I will see y'all later. Always remember to leave a like, to comment, and to subscribe for more. and always remember to stay sweet.